Hi YouTube, I want to tell you a story really. It's also a pickup. So it's a story about a pickup, and this is a pickup that arrived today in the office, and it was an eBay auction, but quite an interesting auction. And this is the main picture that appeared on the auction listing. So an old receipt and a tiny little gold coloured coin with the receipt saying that this is a souvenir, not a real coin, and consequently there wasn't very much interest on the auction. But let's have a look at what I found. So the information on this receipt, CBs, who are CBs, and 30 and with a slash and a little hyphen. And those of you who are British and old like me will know that means 30 shillings, 30 bob, which is in today's money is £1.50. So £1 is 20 shillings. So 30 shillings, which was actually quite a lot of money. We went decimal in 1969, 1970, 71. So this could be a receipt from the late 1960s. Around the West End when I was a teenager and seeing the little CB showroom, I went to university, which was fairly close to where the CB's office was. So I knew that alongside Spinks, CB's were probably one of the oldest, most renowned coin places in London. So I wondered what had happened to them. It turned out that they'd been gone since 1991, and I hadn't really noticed, and they'd been taken over, or their name had been taken over, by the Classical Numismatic Group Incorporated, who I haven't really come across either. So I did a little bit more research and found out that clearly the old Mr. CB, Wilfred Arthur CB, had died in 1991, and there was probably nobody to take over, and the business was sold to another organisation. So let's take a look at what arrived in the post. So clearly maybe there was somebody who had an estate and his possessions went into the hands of a third party, and they uncovered this little envelope, BACB Limited, an American, not a real coin, souvenir, and they thought, what on earth is this? Well, I take a little bit of an interest in these gold rush kind of Californian tokens. I haven't got very many, but they're a really interesting part of numismatics. Very, very historical, and it's something that I really like. And I knew that 1854 was actually a really early time in this particular era, and generally people divided into 2 or 3 periods, and 1952 to 1956 is really quite a special period in history for San Francisco and this kind of coinage. So anything before 1956 was generally kind of used in place of coinage, and therefore this one wasn't really a token or a souvenir. This was in date to be one that was actually really used. And you can see the coin that arrived. It's absolutely tiny. It's really, really, really small. The fact that any of these coins has survived is actually a small miracle all by itself. And this one must have been in somebody's possessions, treasured for all that time since 1854. So I did a little bit of research, and I'll just talk you through some of the things I found about this particular coin, because it's a very interesting part of history that it's worth all of us here on the YouTube community knowing something about in case we come across something like this in the future. So I used PCGS Coin Facts and did a little bit of research on all of the possible 1854 25-cent pieces. And the one that I identified this as is a variation called BG-109, and it turns out that BG-109 is an interesting coin. It is a coin that was produced by a Frenchman in San Francisco who ran a jeweler's, and his name is Antoine Noisily. And he had a business which was sold out in 1859, but he was one of the kind of key people that produced quite a few of these coins. This particular one has got $quarter on the back. The earlier ones, which actually there were more plentiful, had $quarter dot. So there's few of these ones with $quarter around. Quite an interesting coin. Why did these coins exist? And simple. The gold rush and gold dust. People were panning for gold, they had gold dust, and they wanted to buy things. There was no coinage. The big gold coins that existed out of the other mints in America were on the East Coast. Took a long time to get them over to San Francisco to pay for things, and consequently they used pretty much anything in San Francisco, from doubloons to pesetas to escudos to rupees, anything they could find. This was, don't forget, 2 or 3 years before the San Francisco Mint opened. So what about this coin? Turns out that there are only 50 of these coins estimated to survive in the whole world. 50 coins. It has a PCGS rarity factor of 8.5 across all grades, and every time I've seen a reference to it that I've been looking, it has what's called an R5 rating. Some of them have sold at auction. This one sold in 2013 for $1,300, including a buyer's premium. And you can see here that NGC have 10 of these coins in the whole of history have been graded by NGC. So this is a pretty damn rare coin. Here's some high quality close-ups of one or two that I found referred to. Mine, I think, compares very favourably to this particular one, which is used in all of the information I can find over the web. Anyway, so what happened in 1856? And James J. Brooks, who was the head of the Secret Service, was the big protagonist that kind of killed this particular trade in these souvenirish coins. And he had the job, which was to stop these being used as proper coinage. And he had one of his most senior kind of secret agents or Secret Service agents go to every jeweler's shop in San Francisco that he could find and try and buy these coins. And any time he was able to buy them, the guy went in, he asked for one of each denomination, and any he was able to buy, he prosecuted the jeweler, because they weren't meant to be used as legal tender and sold at face value. So you find that after 1856 or so, it enters a kind of second period where there's lots of these things around. In fact, there are over 1,000 different variations, but mostly they become novelty items or fantasy tokens after that time, because of what this guy did in trying to stop this trade at round about the time the San Francisco Mint was started. So there you have it, a kind of interesting history of the 1854 BG-109, 50 of these only in the world. So YouTubers, what do you think of the 1854 California Gold Rush token, this very rare BG-109 token? Let me know what you think. Have you got any of these coins anywhere in your collection? And if so, tell me about them. Do they have a BG number? Let's look them up and find out some history. So yeah, please sub, please comment as usual, and thank you all very much for watching.